So before, Toyota leases used to be so cheap already that no one took advantage of this method that Toyota Financial Services allows people to use. But now it doesn't really matter how cheap the lease payment is or how much of a discount you could get. You could have had a cheaper payment with a lower money factor. What matters on a lease deal is the interest rate or money factor rate you're being charged on that lease. You see, Toyota vehicles don't really depreciate all too much, and if you know anything about leasing, that usually means that it would translate to a cheap lease payment, right? Well, sorta. That's only half the equation. The other half is what Toyota or any brand chooses to charge as a rent charge or an interest rate when you lease from them. Right now, Toyota is among the higher money factor leases on the market. And if you're not experienced with leases, you'd think a high payment was really just the dealer giving you a terrible deal. And that's not the case. Here's what I mean by that. Say we're at the dealership checking out a $36,000 Toyota RAV4. Say it's a hybrid XLE. Some smart ass quotes us a lease deal with $5,000 down plus the dealer fees and comes out to $393 a month plus tax. Then with some back and forth, he gives us an ultra generous discount of $1,000 off sticker. Wow. Now we're at $363. We ask, okay, what's the residual and what's the money factor? He tells us it's 60% on a 36 and 12 and 0.0028 on the money factor, which in leasanese means 6.72% APR. If you're curious, what that translates to is around $5,100 in total interest that's being paid on a 3-year lease. Out of left field, I tell him that I'd like to put down multiple security deposits to slash the interest rate down by 25% instantly. The dealer looks at me, and depending how new he is or she, which is statistically much less likely at this point, depending on how new they are, they'll look at me like I have a booger hanging out of my nose and flirting with my mustache. You're probably also looking at me like that, aren't you? Stop it, all right? What multiple security deposits are going to do is they're going to reduce your interest rate, or in this case, your money factor, down by about 25%. And all you have to do is leave some cash in collateral up front. And once the lease is either done or you bought it out or traded it in, whatever, they send you the money back. What does this do precisely on this RAV4 lease? Well, first of all, let's take the $5,000 out of that deal, because putting money down on a lease is usually a terrible idea. When we take out the money down, that brings our payment up to $515 from the $363 because we're not rolling in $5,000 to bring down the payment. Now, Toyota allows you to reduce the rate, the money factor, the interest rate 9 times by putting down whatever the payment is. They're going to say that each time you put down $500, we're going to reduce your money factor rate by 0.00008, which basically results to 0.2% APR 9 times. So if we chose to max them out and put down 9 payments, 9 security deposits at $500 a pop, our total being $4,500 plus tax, it would reduce the interest rate on the lease from 6.72% down to 4.9% APR. This will bring our payment down to $487 a month. And just like that, with just the dealer fees and first payment due at start, assuming you gave them that $4,500, you just saved yourself $1,000 in interest. Don't do this, but if you're curious, if you kept the $5,000 down in the deal and gave Toyota the $4,500 in security deposits in addition, that initial $363 would drop to $338. Not worth it. Just take out the $5K and pay a little bit more in the payment and not risk the $5,000 up front. I realize $1,000 doesn't sound all too crazy, but realistically on a $36,000 car, that's huge for literally doing nothing. Imagine what that would translate to on a Tundra. Speaking of Toyota RAV4 hybrids, I made this video over here discussing how a RAV4 hybrid is not going to save you much more money than a regular gas model RAV4. You should definitely check that out, and I will see you on the next one. Hey Google, turn off my camera.